Welcome back to Flying Tiles. I am so glad that you're here. Today we're looking at the singles and pairs category. If you're new to playing American Mah Jongg, this category can be one of the least stressful, believe it or not, and I'll be going over that. This little trick here that you see me doing, I learned from Michelle Frizzell. I finally got to meet her face to face in person and hang out with her for a while. Michelle is one of the OGs. Check her channel out. It's Maj Life. She has a great Facebook group as well as a YouTube channel. She's my mentor as well as my friend. Okay, let's get into what we're here for. This is the singles and pairs category. So if you notice that each category is actually represented. In that first line, it was Winds and Dragons. Second line, 2, 4, 6, 8. Third line, there, 3, 6, 9. And then, I'm pointing at the pair, so we'll go over that. And then we have consecutive runs, and you just need 7 pairs in a row. And then we have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 category represented. And then this is called the big year hand, and that's worth 75 points. At the end of the video, I'll be showing singles and pairs in other years. I believe it starts in like 1983, so I have about 3 or 4 cards. We'll be looking at that. So our first hand is the Winds and Dragons. Let's read the parentheses. It says, any 3 suits, any like numbers with matching dragons. It's a closed hand worth 50 points. One of the reasons why this is a great category for beginners is because you don't have to worry about making an exposure. You don't have to worry about claiming a discard unless it's your last discard for Mahjong. And so you can sit back and relax as the game progresses. At the end of this video, I have some Charleston modeling exercises geared specifically towards this category, pairs and singles. Okay, so here's the first hand. We have news in pairs, north, east, west, south pairs, and then the 3 like numbers you choose can be any like numbers, but they have to be 3 different suits as I'm showing in this example. So the first one, I have 8 bam, 8 crack, and 8 dot. Then I have 5 bam, 5 crack, and 5 dot with the corresponding dragons. The second hand in this category is the 2, 4, 6, 8 category. Let's read the parentheses. It says any 3 suits, these numbers only, closed hand, worth 50 points. Okay, let's take a look and see what this is laid out. But first, notice how that last pair of 8, that is your 3rd suit. There is a lot going on in the second hand. So we have single, single, pair, pair, single, single, pair, pair, and then the last pair is the 3rd suit. So up there I did the 8 bam, down below I did the 8 crack. So in the hand on the top there, I chose to do the dots and cracks, and then the 3rd suit, like I said, is the 8 bam. Below I did the bam, the dots, and then the 8 crack. There's a lot going on, but it's really not that difficult of a hand, so to speak. You just have to pay attention to your singles and pairs, as in the whole category. You have to do that. Here I have laid out the tile blocks, as you can see. We have the single, single, as I show with the tiles laid on the side. Single, single, pair, pair, single, single, pair, 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 pair. The tiles I'm using today are from Hong Kong. They are triple layered acrylic tiles made for Asian Mahjong play. There are no jokers in this. I believe they were made for Hong Kong Mahjong. And at the end of the video, I will talk more about these tiles. We are moving right along, and we are looking at hand number 3. This is the hand for the 3, 6, 9 category. The parentheses are quite easy. Any 3 suits. Closed hand worth 50 points. Now this does have to be laid out as it shown or written on the card. If your tiles that you receive in the Charleston do lead you to the singles and pairs category, this is a great category that lets you just sit back and observe what other players are doing, what they're discarding, and what they're exposing. That will help with your awareness in regard to reading other people's hands. And here we have the hand. So we have our pair of flowers, and then our first block is 3 dots, a pair of 3s in that first one. Second block is BAMs, pair of 6s. And then our third block is cracks, pair of 9s. Now up above there where I'm pointing, I just did the blank tiles to show you where the pairs are. I didn't have enough blank tiles for the last one, so pretend like those soaps are blank tiles. I think that made it much easier to comprehend this hand. Okay, line 4. Oh, this is a good one. This is consecutive run. So you just need 7 pairs in a row for this consecutive run hand. And as it says, any one suit, any 7 consecutive numbers, closed hand, 50 points. And I actually made this hand, I think, 2 times now. I always get really happy when I make a hand in the singles and pairs section. I feel like I've really accomplished something. The secret is, and it's not that big of a secret, is that players need to look over in the singles and pairs section and see if they're moving in that direction. So here we have our consecutive run. It can be any consecutive run as long as there's 7. So the bottom one I started with 3. So it goes 3 to 9. Those are 7 pairs. And I did the dots. And the top one I started with 2. And that's 2 to 8. 7 pairs. That's it. It's pretty straightforward. You just have to make sure that you have 7 pairs. We are looking at the 5th hand down, and that is the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 category. So let's read it. It says any 2 suits. Pretty straightforward. Closed hand, 50 points. And as the numbers are laid out on the card, that is how your hand has to look with the 2 suits. So not that complicated, but you cannot mix things around. Players need to stay alert to make sure that the tile they need has not been discarded. Otherwise, they'll need to pivot. And with singles and pairs, if you start getting jokers, pivoting's really not that difficult. So here we look at the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 category. And here I have the BAMs. We have pair, single, 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 pair, pair, 3 singles, and then a pair. So down below, as you can see, I have the pattern first laid out in the BAM suit, and then the second pattern I have, or the second half of the hand, I have laid out in the dots. So this is fairly straightforward. I haven't made this hand yet, but if you start getting a lot of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9s, don't forget to check out the singles and pairs category. And we are on the last hand here. This is known as a big year hand, and the parentheses say any 3 suits. It's a closed hand, and it's 75 points. Now, if you do if you have a jokerless hand, obviously you don't get extra points because that's the whole point of this category. So let's take a look. This is fairly straightforward. Nothing nefarious with this hand, so to speak. So with this hand, we have our pair of flowers, and then we have 3 blocks of single tiles that make 2026. So there's our pair of flowers, and then we have the dots with the 2026, and then we have the BAMs with the 2026, and we have the cracks with the 2026. And those are all considered single tiles except for the pair of flowers. And as you remember, we use the white dragon or the soap. When we use it as a number, it is 0. It's not a dragon at that time. So this is what it looks like. And if you make this hand, take a picture and post it on Facebook. That was my big year hand from 2025. All right, let's look at the singles and pairs in playing cards from yesteryear. It's located in the same area at the bottom of the 3rd panel. And this says no joker hands. And if you notice on the bottom there, they actually have kongs and pungs. So the hands with kongs and pungs in this section had to be played without jokers. On the left-hand side there, they were still had a count of how many flowers were in a hand. And it's interesting that their direction here is letting you know that you can discard a joker for a jokerless hand, or you can pivot. If you look at the last two hands in this section, you see two red X's. So that means that you can expose those last two hands. So all the hands in that section are not closed or concealed. The year hand is interesting. If you see from the second from the bottom, it's pung, 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 pair. So they're doing the math. 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 3 equals 21. And they have two versions for their year hand. One suit, one hand, one suit, and another hand, 3 suits. That was the 1983 card. We're going to look at the 1987-88 card. And this was a big card because this was the card for the 50th anniversary. And this is what their singles, well, they're still calling it no joker's hand. But at the bottom, the last hand for their year hand is a Kong of flowers. And then 1937 to 1987 equals 50, which is 50 years. They have one hand which you can claim a discard for exposures, and that's a second one up from the bottom there with the Kongs. This is the 1994-95 hand, and they're calling it singles and pairs here. Double value only when self-picked. And I think that's what I was trying to say before. The only time you double the value is if these are self-picked. The last hand is their year hand, and this is the form that we know it today. A pair of flowers, and then the year in 3 suits. And here we have the singles and pairs, all closed hand and higher value. All right, this is the 2001 card. This was one of my cards. I was playing Mahjong at this time. So this format is, over 26 years. Wow, probably even in the late 90s. I just didn't pull out one of those cards. But all singles and pairs, and if you look there, you can see the second hand down is the consecutive run that we have today, 7 pairs. We're going to focus on some Charleston modeling exercises. Now, this set that I have does not have any jokers. So what I'm pulling out has all the tiles except for jokers. And I am going to focus, I guess, force hand, so to speak, on making hands from the singles and pairs as to what I have. And I pick out 14 tiles, and here I am doing my new little trick, new to me. It's been around, probably since Mahjong was created in the late 1800s. If you watch people play Hong Kong Mahjong, Singapore Mahjong, Filipino Mahjong, this is how they rack their tiles. They push them together and they flip them up, and then they move them to where they want. We use racks, they don't. So I'm going to organize my tiles here, and I've got 1 flower, it looks like, and I have 2, 3, 4 in the BAMs, and I have a 2 crack, a pair of 3 cracks, 5 cracks, 6, 7, pair of 7 cracks, and a 9 crack, and then a 2 dot. So I really want to look at my pairs. That's really important because Mahjong is a game of multiples, and you want to build around those if you can. Don't forget, you can put this video on pause if you want to stop and take a look a little longer. What I'm doing here is I'm counting my even tiles and I'm counting my odd tiles just to see which way my hand might be leaning, and that helps me decide what tiles to pass. So what's really sticking out to me here would be a consecutive run, even though I have gaps. So I have 2, 3, and then I have a gap with the 5, and then I have 6, 7, and then I have a gap with the 8. So I'm moving my even tiles over because I have less of those, and I'm showing you here what I'm going to be going for. It is the even 7 pairs. Let's see how far we can get. So it's any 1 suit, 7 consecutive numbers. And I know that I'm done passing when I have 6 rows of 3 tiles each. You'll see where I set them there up to the right-hand side. And I am going to pick the least tiles that I think would help anyone. And also my hand is what comes first. So I don't sacrifice my hand just to pass tiles that really shouldn't go together. That's a guideline. Sometimes you're going to have to pass a pair or flowers, but try not to. Try to break up your pairs sooner than later, so you don't have to pass pairs together if you know that you're not going to use those pairs. And none of those are helping me. Okay, 2 dot, 8 dot, 2 bam. I did not want to pass a 3 bam and a 2 bam together, so that's why I didn't break up that pair. Just, ooh, one crack. That's why I didn't break up that 3 bam just yet. 2 dot and 7 dot. Okay, so I've got 1. All right, I can go up to 7. Okay, that's nice. I have the consecutive going there without a gap. All right, I'm going to break up my 3 bam here. That looks like a pretty good pass. 2 dot and 7 dot don't go together, so I'm not worried about passing the same suit. And I'm going to not pass the flower if I can possibly manage that. Oh my goodness. In this pass, I got a 3 crack, a 4 crack, and a flower. I know it's hard to see. I think I was getting a little too excited here. So I took the 3 crack out because I only need a pair and I already have a pair. So that's going to be one of my passing tiles. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have a hand with no gaps. I just have to fill out all those pairs. That is incredible. So if I wasn't looking over to the singles and pairs, I might have tried to move to the consecutive run, pung, pung, kong, kong. I intentionally passed that flower tile because I wanted to keep that 9 crack. Just in case I get an 8 crack, that gives me a little flexibility. All right, I have a 2 bam, a 2 dot, and a south. All right, none of those are helpful. I can just mosey those along. And that was my last right. As you can see there, I have 6 rows of 3 tiles each. The only thing left would be the optional. And that's all you need to do. You don't need anything fancy to be doing Charleston modeling exercises. So some people are paying $90 for a solo Maj board, which I really do not understand. Okay, so that's my opinion. I am doing an optional across, and those are the 3 I'm letting go, and I'm picking 3 out of my discards, and nothing helps because I didn't give away anything that I didn't need. And that is looking pretty good. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm showing you what tiles I need. So I've turned the tiles backwards. So I need a 1 crack, and I need a 4 crack, and I need a 5 crack and a 6 crack. That is actually really good going into gameplay. That is an excellent place to be. And that was great for a forced hand, forcing myself into that category. I'm really happy with that. And again, as always, any questions you have, please put them down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys. I will answer your questions as soon as I see them. I have one more Charleston modeling exercise, forced hand into the singles and pairs. Let's see if this will be as good as the last one. So I'm going to pull out 14 tiles. I always like to give myself advantage as East. And I'm picking my tiles randomly from the walls over there. I like to keep my tiles neat when I'm videotaping versus like having the messy Mahjong thing. And again, you can always pause this video and decide which direction would you go in if this was your hand. So I'm obviously organizing my tiles there. It looks like I've got some wins, and oh my goodness, wow. Okay, so wow, okay, I think obviously I am going to be doing the first hand. And I have a really nice choice there of using the 1s or 2s for my like numbers. So remember, there we are, looking at that. I have pair of north, pair of east, west, and south. Those are all pairs. And then singles, the 1 dot with the soap, and the 1 crack with the red dragon, and the 1 bam with the green dragon. That's what I need to complete my hand. As you can see, I'm putting my discards up there to the right. So when I have 6 rows of 3 tiles, I have finished the discard, and I can do an optional if I want to. And I'm picking my 3 tiles incoming tiles randomly from the walls. I'll do, well, there I did 3 from the one, but I'll do 2 from one wall and maybe 1 from another wall. But this hand is really coming in nicely. I can't believe it. I think I'm going to be intentionally playing singles and pairs more often. I've decided to go with the one dot, one crack, and hopefully I'll get a one bam somewhere. Oh my gosh, there we go. All right. I was letting go of the 2s because that was the best combination to pass, so that I didn't help another player. Oh my gosh, red dragon. All right, I need to go buy a lottery ticket. That is for sure. I really can't believe this. This is incredible. All right. So I'm just arranging. I've got my one bam green dragon, one crack and red dragon, and one dot, and I just need a soap. I am on my second left, so I cannot do a blind pass. That means I have to pick a tile from a well-developed hand, and this is very exciting. So I'm deciding, should I go with a wind? Should I go with a face tile or a dragon? So I know that I eventually pick a wind. I pick the north. And the reason for that is I might get the north back, or it could be discarded. But I thought going with a wind would be the best option versus a face tile or a dragon. And that's the dilemma that we hit sometimes. And that can be a dilemma in the singles and pairs, because these hands are not flexible. And players always have to know what's been discarded, and if they'll need to pivot if their tile has been discarded. Like if 3 norths get discarded and I cannot call Mahjong, then I will need to pivot somewhere else. Okay, so what I did was I had gotten a flower and a pair of 3 dots. I threw the 3 dot back and took another one because most likely people are not going to pass a pair. So that's why I did that. Most likely you don't get a lot of flowers, but sometimes you do get a flower. So I just went ahead and kept that. This is my optional across, and I did not get my north back. Okay, so this is what I'm ending with. Again, an incredible hand in singles and pairs, ready to get Mahjong fairly soon. I just need to get 3 tiles, a north, a west, and a soap. So I'm just showing you here, first line, closed hand, 50 points. I wanted to show you the tiles that I'm using today up close. These are from the 1960s, I believe. This one bam is a perching sparrow, I'm fairly certain. And as you can see there, you can see the triple layers, and the middle is a frosted, I think it's clear, frosted clear, and it kind of has that back looks like a jelly, kind of like Jell-O. I love the look of that. And this is the one bam again. And here we're looking at the cracks. And if you notice, the 1 is on the right side. This is how I received these tiles, because traditionally, or Chinese was traditionally read, or it progressed, the columns progressed from right to left. I hope I'm saying that right. But oftentimes you'll see flowers placed right to left. Okay, and here's the 1 dot. That's the 1 dot, very pretty. And next we're going to be moving on to the winds and dragons and flowers. Looking at the winds there, you see they're laid out in ESWN, which is eat soup with nuts. And I'm pointing at the seasons and the flowers. So the seasons are the ones with the numbers on it, and the flowers are the ones with the winds on it, the SNEW. So looking at the flowers, the S stands for orchid, or that's an orchid. The north is the bamboo. The east is plum blossom. And the west is chrysanthemum. When we're looking at the season tiles, which are the ones with the numbers, number 1 is for the season spring. Number 2 is for summer. Number 3 is for autumn. And number 4 is for winter. So those are the season tiles, and then the flower tiles are the other ones. And in Asian Mahjong, oftentimes they use these numbers and wind symbols for scoring. So if you're in the seat of north and you get a north flower tile, you get extra points for that. That's as far as I know, but those numbers and wind directions are important for scoring in Asian Mahjong. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was great to have you here. and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.